Yo, what is up? Welcome or welcome back. But thanks for making it this far. So here is an experience that all new jumpers trying to progress will go through. And that is when you're back at home, okay, so you feel like you've mastered how to jump, whether it's on a jump at your house or your local trails. And you're confident and you're consistent on it because you've done a ton of repetition. So the next logical step is to search online for other places to go and jump. And you'll find some, they may be 30 minutes away, an hour away, 2 hours away, 4 hours away. Regardless, it's a commitment to get there. But because you know how to jump, you want to make that commitment possible. So you make the drive, you get there, you find the jumps on the trail system, and you are ready to roll the same as you did back home. But then you're rolling at the jumps and you realize that everything feels so different. Everything feels scary again. Everything feels new again. So here's the thing that most new jumpers don't realize is that when you know how to jump, that doesn't mean that you are comfortable just turning the switch and jumping everything in sight. Something as simple as new landscapes in your peripheral vision as you approach jumps will change how you feel because you learned to jump and you did so many repetitions on that one location. All these new stimuli are gonna overwhelm you and you're gonna revert back to your early stages of jumping. You're gonna go back to all those bad habits. But here's the thing with confidence. Confidence is the most important thing in mountain biking. Confidence is super powerful, but it's super fragile. So when you are progressing on jumps and you are expanding your reach to new jumps, we have to baby our confidence because one bad experience can take us several steps back, but that doesn't have to happen. So the number one bad thing that you can do is just not try to jump them. You have to push through that block of the new experience because the more you do that, the more new jumps will not feel so new anymore. Next, realize this. If it's a tabletop jump, you do not have to clear it on the first try. Yes, you're coming from a place back home where you cleared everything on every try, but that was just because you were so familiar with it. You're unfamiliar with this, so don't come with the expectations that you're just gonna bring all those skills from home and you're gonna clear it on the first try. So take a brief moment, pause, recognize that this experience is gonna be new and different and your expectations might change when you get here and you see these new jumps in person. Once you realize that, your expectation and your priorities will change at the beginning of your ride. Don't ignore the jumps and don't save them for later. You came for the jumps and you're gonna conquer the jumps because you learned the skills to do it. We just need to apply those skills in a piece by piece manner so we don't get hurt. So how do we do that? Well, let's check it out. So this is a relatively small tabletop, but because it's new, it might be scary to you. So you might come and you might see people just blasting it, making it look easy, but don't forget that they may be super used to this. This may be their home base, their confidence base. This might be where they learn the basics for their skills. But for you, it looks totally different. Everything is different. Everything is strange. So don't compare yourself with what you're seeing others do on this jump. Instead, let's not forget our basics and let's go right back to square one and apply it. So we're gonna slow down. We're not gonna carry our bad habits into the jump just to clear it, which means we're not gonna ride into it solely based on speed to clear it. We're gonna really slow down and we're gonna make sure that our skills are followed. And before you know it, we're gonna add speed to it and we're gonna be clearing this in no time. And what that'll do is it'll add another layer to your confidence. So what we're not going to do is we're not gonna just ride over jumps. We're not just gonna ride up to it and just roll the lip. It's an etiquette thing where generally you don't want to roll lips, but rolling a lip, just rolling over a jump will not teach you anything. Every time you approach a jump, you should approach it with the mindset that you need to get a little bit of air off the transition, that you need to handle the transition like you would if you were going to jump and clear it. The minute you come into it with the mindset that you're just going to roll the lip, you've guaranteed that you're not going to learn anything from the experience. So let's take a look. I'm gonna ride this and I'm gonna show you if I were scared of this jump right here, the very first thing that I would do when I ride it. Whenever you're sessioning jumps, one important thing to always remember is you're building your confidence and you're working on repetition. But you also wanna make sure that you're not getting in anybody else's way. So be very open to other riders in your area. Understand that you could obviously be an obstacle. And the only thing more uncool than just not experiencing or not exposing yourself to the discomfort of new jumps is getting into the way of somebody else. So be sure that your head is on a swivel, your eyes are like owls, and you are always aware of your surroundings. Okay, so as we come into this, we're not trying to clear it right now, but we're also not trying to roll the lip, right? So we're gonna do everything we know is true. what do we know to be true? Well, we know that this jump is gonna apply force on our legs, so we're gonna apply force back, which means we're gonna extend our body upward, okay? But when we extend our body upward, we do it in time, so we extend up and off of the lip. We're not gonna roll the lip, we're just gonna rise up, unweight our bike. We know we're gonna case right here. Our goal isn't to clear the jump, we're going to case. But what happens is when you stand up and extend off of the lip, your body has increased all of its suspension. You have all the suspension that your body can offer, so that when we do case it or we knuckle a little bit, we can just absorb it. What we're doing is we're getting familiar with the transition. We're getting familiar with this wild surrounding that's different than what we know. And we're building our confidence. We're building our familiarity with this new jump. So this isn't a how to jump tutorial. You already watched those. You already know how to jump. We're just trying to restart the process on new jumps to build confidence so that the fear is less intimidating and less controlling of our actions. We want those skills in our tool belt to control our actions. We don't want fear to control our actions. So we need to eliminate the fear, and this is how we're doing it. Now remember, we don't worry about speed right now, but everything we do on this transition, we want it to be right. So at that speed, and while we did not clear the jump, everything we learned to be true and correct, we applied to this jump. So what you want to do is you want to essentially do that over and over and over. Scary places become less scary when you spend more time there. So as you do that, you want to make sure that you don't increase your speed until you feel completely confident that your timing was on point and that the transition felt good to you. The next thing that you want to do now is just add a little bit of speed to it. But just remember, with more speed means your timing changes a little bit. So again, your focus is with this new speed to extend off of the lip. So remember, we're slowly working up to this, which means we're gonna come to a point where we might knuckle it. If it's a steep transition where you land, you don't wanna knuckle it. You wanna make sure that your speed will carry you beyond the knuckle. But on something like this, we can kind of knuckle it and be safe. So we're gonna knuckle it and be safe, but remember, that's not always the case. So here we go, we're gonna knuckle it. So there you go, you saw that I kind of safely knuckled this one because it's such a small jump. And it's actually a little bit of a step up more so than like a traditional tabletop. When we first started this process, we felt intimidated, but now we feel good, okay? We know that when we get into a boxing ring, the chances are slim that we're just gonna get in there and knock out the other fighter with one punch. And that goes with clearing jumps too sometimes, especially when you're a new jumper. So our next step is to clear it. Okie dokie, so our goal this time is to clear it. We've worked up to the point where we're just barely clearing it. So we're gonna add a little bit more speed, but we're not going to forget with our speed that we have to focus on our timing and our technique. And now you're clearing it. What that did for your confidence is tremendous. You didn't walk away from it, you didn't give up on it, you stuck with it, you broke it down, and you've avoided that confidence plateau. Good habits are the main tools for keeping fear away. Fear comes when we experience uncertainty and things that we don't understand, but we've built these good habits in this foundation for jumping. We need to experience that understanding slowly, and we need to apply that understanding slowly to new jumps. You keep fear on the other side of the door like a vampire that's not welcome in. So as I ride toward this jump, okay, this one right here, this is the transition, the dirt is darker and it's in the shadows, and those two things combine to make it look super steep. But let's take a look at it from the side. So as I look at it from the side, it doesn't look nearly as steep as it did from the front. So I'm being smarter than my brain right now. I'm understanding that perception is a little bit different than reality. Sometimes our perspective changes based on lighting, dirt color, and the length of the transition, etc. So when we ride into this, we want to ride into it not thinking that it's a steep jump, but we want to ride into it thinking that it's less steep than we think it is. But we want to remember too that our timing and our body positioning on the bike is super important, because you know, it may be a degree or two steeper than what you're used to, but that doesn't change anything on the bike, because our body, thankfully, can rotate on the bike. We're not in a fixed position like a little green army man, right? So we have movement on our bike and we can account for steeper transition. Let's look at the length of it too. The length is relatively short, okay, for its height, which means if we blast it with speed, we run the big risk of going way out here, landing super deep, landing flat. And if you land flat and you get bucked because it's a little bit steeper, okay, bad things can happen. So again, we're gonna take this one slow, we're gonna break it down, but we're not gonna roll the lip and we're not gonna walk away from it. So let's start slow and let's work into this. Again, our goal is not to clear this. We're just gonna feel it out. So we cased it a little bit. We tail cased it a little bit, and that's okay, because we felt out the steepness of that transition. It didn't punch us in the face like a heavyweight fighter. We handled it. So let's add just a little bit more speed to this. Now remember, just a little bit, because with the speed that we had, we were just tail casing it, and we don't want to shoot the flat. Easy breezy. So absolutely awesome. So that may take you, 15 tries to work up to clearing it. May take you 2 or 3. The important thing is that you do it right with proper skills. You reduce fear of uncertainty because you're in total control. In a movie with heroes and anti-heroes, or good versus evil, okay? Confidence is good. Confidence is our hero. Confidence is our protagonist. Uncertainty is our enemy. It's our anti-hero. It's evil. But we can chip away at uncertainty by taking small steps into the unknown, doing it the right way, repetition, and being very reflective on if it did not feel right, likely it was not right, step back. You learn faster by working slower. Guys, if you like free information to help you become a better mountain biker, to help you progress, be sure to subscribe and hit like. I do my best to offer good content. So you will find that the people, so first of all, this isn't negative, this isn't pointing fingers or anything. Anybody out having fun on their bike, regardless of how they do it, is super awesome and shouldn't be judged. But you will find that people that have poor jumping technique might look like absolute heroes, at their home trails or the jumps that they're most used to riding. And then when they go to a new trail system, you'll see that they become real reserved, they dial it back, they hopefully not making up excuses not to ride jump lines, but just a real obvious level of discomfort. And it's just because that they've not really learned how to build proper jumping technique. And I know I sound like a broken record, proper jumping technique, but it really is important, not just for confidence, but for safety, rather than just a one fit tool that just works on your home jump. So I have no clue what this trail looks like. I've never seen it. This will be my first experience of it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna feel out this trail kind of in the same manner that I just described in feeling out a new jump that might scare you. While I don't have fear, what I do have is some uncertainty here. So we're gonna figure it out. So this essentially will be my pre-ride. Okay, so we got some booters and I've cased them all. Okay, so what I could see of them, I knew that they weren't going to be gaps or they weren't going to be dangerous, and they had real long transitions. Real long transitions give you a great opportunity to just stand up off of the transition slowly, so you don't have to rush anything. When things aren't rushed, the outcome's a little bit more predictable. You may have ridden that a little bit more aggressive than maybe you should, or maybe most people would. The important thing I did not do, okay, is Theoretically, I could have ridden through there and checked them out just so I knew what the jumps looked like. That would have been probably a smart thing to do. But when it comes to the point where it's my intent to hit them, the important thing that I do not do is just roll the transitions. I want to lift off of the transition, even if 6 inches or a foot. I want to ride them like I have intention on jumping them, or I've just completely wasted that whole approach, that run. So let's go again. Let's add a little bit more confidence, a little bit more understanding, and a little bit more speed. Okay. You see how staying forward just helps me control the bike even when I get like stalled out in the air and I might not clear it. So how does this approach apply to doubles or gap jumps? Well, what you're doing with this approach is you're building a confidence that will get stronger over time. And pretty soon you'll find that you have to rely on this process less and less as your confidence grows and uncertainty starts to diminish. It's at that point where you want to take that confidence and lack of uncertainty to doubles or gap jumps. And as is always the case, start small, because again, you're starting from scratch and you're starting to build the confidence, but with a gap involved. The difference obviously is you have to fully commit, but fully committing is a lot easier when you have the confidence.